A lot of people in the fragrance community make comparisons between different fragrances. They point out similarities, they point out differences, they point out why one is better than the other one, etc., etc., etc. So one that I've been particularly interested in lately is the competition between K Eau de Toilette by Dolce and Gabbana and Rochas l'Homme. If this piques your interest, guys, stick around, check out this review. Hey guys, welcome back to Real Scent Review. Thanks for tuning in for another review this evening. So tonight I'm going to be going over K Eau de Toilette version by Dolce and Gabbana and L'Homme by Rochas. So disclaimer right off the bat, I do not own a full bottle of this. I used to back when this first came out, but one thing led to another and I ended up selling it. So I have this tester here. This is what I'm going to be reviewing and my full presentation of L'Homme by Rochas. So let's get right into the comparisons here. K, as you can see, the bottle is blue and it has a crown on top. The actual bottle itself is quite heavy, made of nice transparent glass with a blue tint to it. The only thing I don't really like about the bottle is that crown. The cap is made to look like a crown, which, I don't know, I think it's pretty cheesy. Looks like something that maybe Lattafa would release. Okay, so I'm not gonna go any more in depth about the presentation of K here. Gonna waste a spray now. Very pleasant, very nice. So the official notes that were given for K Eau de Toilette are the following. Juniper berries, citruses, blood orange, Sicilian lemon in the top. In the mid, pimento, lavender, clary sage, and geranium. In the dry down, vetiver, cedar, and patchouli. Again, another perfect example of an official note description being much more complicated than what you actually get. So the most prominent notes to my nose are blood orange, bergamot in the top, and this one dries down to me just some ambroxan and cedar. So yeah, absolutely. The opening here combines a really sweet orange, which is the blood orange, with some, gold standard bergamot. Bergamot is in almost any blue aquatic fragrance out there. Gives a very fresh, kind of sharp citrus note in the top, can be a little bit fuzzy sometimes. Very, very fresh, kind of uplifting in a way. And this dries down, to some generic ambroxan and cedar. So the ambroxan is going to be responsible for giving it that classic blue feel. It's kind of sweet, kind of has a little tiny vague sea saltiness to it. Gives you the sense of just being next to the ocean. That's how I would describe ambroxan, at least in this particular rendition of it. And that's also accompanied with some just fresh, woody cedar. So all in all here, I get a very, for lack of a better term, generic blue fragrance here. It's nothing at all offensive. In fact, it smells very nice, very pleasant. The issue that a lot of people might have with this one though is that it's pretty generic. It's almost painfully generic, in fact. This is something that's been done so many times before. And it's almost like a tease because in the very opening of this, that blood orange, which is different than a lot of openings to a lot of other blue fragrances. The blood orange kind of makes you think that this fragrance might go off into some unique territory, but in my opinion, it just doesn't. However pleasant it may smell, it's a little bit generic to me, except for that one note of that blood orange in the top, which I think is really nice. It's really nothing unique here. And the performance on my skin is kind of lacking. So total projection, I get maybe, it's less than an hour of projection, and the total longevity on my skin maybe reaches 5 hours. So all in all, it's slightly below average performance, which is a shame because, it does smell really good. And this one can be found for $58 for a 100 milliliter tester bottle on FragranceNet. So now gonna go over Rochas l'Homme. So this one here, we can see the box. It's blue, it's got a matte type of finish to it, really smooth. It's got some stripes along the side that are raised, gives it a ribbed feeling. Got L'Homme Rochas Paris Eau de Toilette, 100 milliliters. Bottle itself, very nice here. It's actually shaped like an oval cylinder, and it's blue. It's got a ribbed consistency as well. L'Homme Rochas on the front here. Nice, decently heavy cap. It feels like it's semi-hollow, but it's got a nice aluminum mirrored finish to it. Very nice, very heavy glass bottle, and the typical information on the bottom here. So let's go ahead and get a spray out of this one now. Okay, so right off the initial spray here, you can already detect that there's just much more going on in this. So the official note breakdown is the following. In the top, we get blood orange, pineapple, and cardamom. In the mid, we're given juniper berries, geranium, and basil. And in the dry down, we're given tonka bean, patchouli, and moss. Fairly accurate, however, to my nose, the most prominent notes by far are the blood orange, pineapple and cardamom in the top, and this dries down for me with some nice tonka and geranium. So in the top here, we do get a little bit of that blood orange, the same exact smell that we get at the beginning of K Eau de Toilette. This one, however, is mixed with a little tinge of pineapple and some cardamom, so it gives it an additional fresh yet fruity kind of sweetness coming from the pineapple, and a sweet, warm, light spice coming from the cardamom. All in all, the opening in this one is just more interesting, and it's more dense. There's more of an oomph to it as compared to K Eau de Toilette. Very nice here in the opening, and this dries down to me with some tonka and geranium. Now, this is where it might start to lose people a little bit, especially people from the younger generations. The combination of tonka and geranium is a classic. It harkens back to those classic fougere fragrances that are, you know, meant to smell like shaving creams and old school aftershaves. The dry down to this reminds me definitely of one of those classic aftershaves, although it doesn't really push all the way into classic fougere territory. There still is a modernity to this. However, in the dry down, it does start to kind of lean towards classic shaving cream style smells, which I personally love, but especially younger guys might not appreciate this one. So all in all, this starts off fresh, fruity with a definite warm spice coming from the cardamom, and it dries down into very creamy, a little bit old school kind of shaving cream territory. I think all in all, this is a very interesting scent. It's not what I would call a blue scent, despite what the presentation might have you believe. You know, you're seeing this presentation and you're probably thinking, oh, it's gonna be a blue fragrance, especially because it gets compared a lot of the time to K Eau de Toilette, which is a blue fragrance. However, I would say this really doesn't strike me as a blue fragrance. Now this is more of a definitely an aromatic fougere to my nose. Although it doesn't push completely into fougere territory, it absolutely does give some impressions of a modern fougere, let's say. So the performance on this one here, it's not beast mode, but for the first hour and a half, I get decent projection, dies down to a shoulder length before the second hour is up, and total longevity on my skin, I get between 6 and 7 hours. So it's definitely above average, and it is noticeably better performance than K Eau de Toilette. This one can be had for $35 US for a 100 milliliter tester bottle on FragranceNet. So, you know, side-by-side comparison here. Apart from that initial opening with the blood orange, I really don't think that these are that similar. In fact, K is very fresh, zingy, uplifting, it's blue, it's aquatic. Rochas l'Homme is much denser, deeper, more aromatic, just more interesting in my opinion. There's a lot more going on. Now, both of these are very versatile. They can be worn, you know, in any season, really, in any situation. Although I would think that K Eau de Toilette, already being, you know, on the weaker side of things, might not be best for cooler weather because the cold air is going to destroy those light citrus notes. I think this is going to be actually a perfect one for hot summer days. That's K Eau de Toilette. Rochas l'Homme, more versatile. You could wear this really, I would say, probably any time of year. It's got a creamy sweetness to it, but it's also fresh and fruity, right? I wear this actually all the time where I live. It's a very warm climate, at least in the summer months, and I wear this every day. It's actually been my daily driver for a while now. Hot weather, cooler weather in the spring and fall as well. Even on some cooler winter nights, cooler winter days as well. It's never failed me. It's great, gets a lot of compliments. But then again, K Eau de Toilette gets a lot of compliments too. And speaking of K Eau de Toilette, you know, K actually Eau de Toilette reminds me way more of Dylan Blue by Versace. So Dylan Blue, we all know, it's at this point a very famous blue scent. It opens up a little bit fruity, dries down with some incensey ambroxan. Very nice, very strong performance on this one. And I gotta say, K Eau de Toilette to me reminds me a little bit of like a very wispy, airy Versace Dylan Blue. I think these two are quite similar. This one is much more dense though, and the performance is better. K is like, you know, the little brother of Versace Dylan Blue. That's my opinion. That's what I would say. Some people might disagree, but I definitely notice a similarity between these two, much more so than between this one and this one. So guys, all in all things considered, I think both of these fragrances are good. I think this is much better, much more interesting, much more dense, deeper. It's just got more going on. It's more interesting. I would pick this one over this one 100% of the time. I enjoy this one, but this one is just better in every way. And I don't really think they're that similar either. So if you own this one and you still want to try this one, please by all means go ahead and get it. It's much cheaper than this one actually, and it's better in just about every way. Way better value here. go pick this one up seriously. Don't worry if you already have this one, they're not redundant at all. So guys, that's been my review of these two fragrances. I would recommend this one to guys who are ready to sort of delve into aromatic fougères, right? This one here definitely has a youthfulness to it, but at the bottom in the dry down, it sort of starts to push into more aromatic classic fougère territory without going all the way. So I think, you know, if you're a younger guy out there, and like I said, you want to branch off, start trying some, you know, aromatic fougères, this is a great place to start. So just go ahead, check it out. If you like it, pick up a bottle, really inexpensive. You'll feel refined and masculine. It's great. Check it out, guys. That's been my comparison of K Eau de Toilette with Rochas L'Homme. Thanks, guys. Tune in next time, and until then, keep it real.